All right, welcome here to episode number 21 of the VYPEU podcast. I'm Will Torboff, joined by not only Ella Hestan, but Robert Gonsolin. Ella, Robert, it is so great to have the both of you on this week.
Yeah, I'm excited. Great to finally meet Ella, and yeah, looking forward to someone to take over my place soon.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back, and I'm excited for another episode.
Yeah, well, last week we said you came on at such a great time, and this is going to be an incredible episode. We're going to cover the softball championships, 4A, 5A, 6A, all went to Houston. The baseball state tournament is beginning probably as you all are listening to this. We have interviews with Texas A&M baseball commits, Rockwall Heath shortstop Jett Williams, and Smithson Valley center fielder Kasen Wells. We're going to finish the episode off with some football recruiting news. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Like I said, 4A, 5A, 6A, all in the Houston-ish area, Southwest Texas, whatever you want to call it. Liberty Hill, Deer Park, and Barbers Hill all win championships in Austin.
Yeah, Barbers Hill actually finished as a top team in the country with a record of 42-2. That's insane. And they had to defeat doing that. They had to play, and they actually overcame an undefeated Lake Creek team before advancing to the state finals.
Yeah, that Lake Creek team was pretty highly covered by VYPE. They had some TikTok stars, and it was a really great season from them. But Barbers Hill comes away with it, and Ella, they have a baseball team on their way to a state championship, don't they?
Yes, they do. Barbers Hill baseball looks to have the same luck as their softball crew. They will face Amarillo in the semifinals, and it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, so Barbers Hill and Amarillo on that half of 5A. On the other half, it's going to be Howesville and Rouse. So last four teams in Texas for 5A look pretty good. And Robert, in 6A, there is a team that you and I have covered maybe more than anyone else on the planet.
Will, I know that you and I are both very, very excited for this weekend. Our very own Strake Judgment Fighting Crusaders are headed to Round Rock for the state qualifiers. And as Strake Judgment fans, hopefully the state championship game. The Crusaders in their hashtag RallyMac come out of Region 3 for their first appearance in the state tournament. Their coach, Raul Garcia-Ramo, has been at the school for around 20 years, even before the Crusaders joined the UIL back in 03-04.
Yeah, this little RallyMac sensation has really taken over the world. I'll say that. So I've got some packed for the drive to Round Rock. I've got to stay impartial, like I said in an interview last week, but I'm rooting for Strake Jesuit, and I know you're doing the same, Robert.
I mean, Strake Jesuit, they're playing their best baseball at the most important time of the season. They really came together and didn't skip a beat against Tompkins. They overcame Jersey Village pretty much like by the scores and stats pretty easily. And it looks like nothing's really right now, nothing's in their way. They seem to have everything going for them. We have players playing to their best of their abilities. Caleb Garcia-Ramo, the son of the head coach, stepping up, homering, going yard against Jersey Village. That was a huge moment. We just have these small moments that just make huge impacts in these games. That's what Strake Jesuit's been doing a great job of right now.
Yeah, but Ella, they're going to have some tough competition, right?
Yes, they will face Keller, who defeated the reigning champions from 2019 in South Lake Carroll in a series that actually went to 3 games.
Yeah, so it was a really odd series. They split the first 2 games, and then there were a few lightning delays, as we've seen in just about every single series in Texas. It has just rained forever. It seems like throughout the whole state. But they finally got the end of that game, and it was a really close game. Keller comes away with it. They are the team from the DFW area that will make it. On the other side, it's going to be Smithson Valley and Rockwall Heath. We have a player from each of those teams on a little bit later on in this episode. Robert, tell me a little bit about what happened with Smithson Valley and Los Fresnos.
Yeah, so they decided to have a 1-game series, actually. And usually in all the rounds leading up to the playoffs, besides once it comes to Round Rock, obviously, it's a best of 3 series. Hopefully, as a team, you have to win in 2 games, but it can go to 3. Well, Los Fresnos, they trusted in their ace against Smithson Valley, so that they decided to have a 1-game series, which actually backfired on Valley, which backfired on Los Fresnos, and Smithson Valley came out with the win 3-2 in just that 1-game series. Let me just switch it up for a second, Will. Do you think, and Ella, feel free to jump in on this too, do you think if it was a 3-game series, the mindset would have been a little bit different for Los Fresnos, and it kind of would have been different? Like, do you think that they wouldn't have made any 1-game series changes?
Yeah, so our guest, Kasen Wells, in a minute is going to talk about how that kind of impacted the team, how they really wanted to play a 3-game series. But, it's a coin toss kind of deal when the coaches can't agree on it. And unfortunately, they had to play 1-game series. They came out with the win. But yeah, I think that's something really interesting to bring up, especially a team that's on so much of a roll. That's a close game. If that had been 3-2 Los Fresnos and they'd played 2 more games, it would have been really interesting to see how that turned out.
Must have been some pretty good pitching too, then.
Yeah. Ella, what happened we knew there was going to be a crazy series between Rockwall and Rockwall Heath. When did it ended up happening with that?
It was a cross-city battle. They come from the same district, and between Rockwall and Rockwall Heath, and then after getting blown out in the first game, Rockwall Heath came back to win back-to-back games, scoring 11 runs in both of them to take the victory over Rockwall.
Yeah, that's a series I kind of really wish I kind of would have wanted to see in person, just imagining how the atmosphere was between both those teams. They've got to be rivals in some sense. Maybe they're not each other's main rival in their district, but both teams from Rockwall, rarely does it happen when they come from the same city.
Yeah, that's just really incredible. Not only does Keller have to do it, but Heath have to beat district rivals on their way to the state qualifiers. And I think that'll send it over to our interview with a player from Rockwall Heath committed to Texas A&M, Jett Williams. And right after that, we will hand it over to the interview with Kasen Wells. All right, I am now here with Rockwall Heath shortstop, Jett Williams. Jett, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm great, and you seem to be great too. You are on your way to Round Rock tomorrow. By the time this comes out, you will already be there. This has been a really incredible season. So just take me through it, and then we'll go in a little bit more detail as we go on. So yeah. How did the season start out, and how is it finished right here?
We started out pretty hot in that Globe Life tournament. There were some pretty good teams. We went, I think, 3-2. It was real early for us, but we played good, and we had a lot of things to work on. But throughout the season, we battled and competed and just practiced on things that we should have practiced on. And I guess now we're here.
Yeah, you are here, but just like a couple other teams in the state tournament, you didn't win your district.
Yeah.
So that was actually, I think there's 2 other teams that didn't win their district, and you dropped a couple games to Rockwall, and they won district, and you ended up facing them in the playoffs. We'll talk about that in just a second. Mm-hmm. But what did you see from that team that you kind of thought was stronger than what you guys had in the regular season?
We just battled. Once we got kind of into playoffs, we've been in elimination games before. So kind of when they took that game 1, it's like we didn't panic or anything. And we just kind of could do our thing. And I mean, they wanted it more than us in game 1. That's hard to say, but they came out hotter, and they had more energy than us, but yep.
Yeah. I mean, you guys were in a lot of high scoring games with them throughout the season. It seemed like when you had the bats going, it didn't matter how many runs they put up. Yeah. I mean, end of the regular season, you guys dropped a game 14-13, which is about as high scoring as you can get. And then, so you lose that last game of the regular season, and then the first game of the playoffs, you drop as well. So it's all of a sudden right there, you realize, all right, if we lose any more games, this is it. We're not going to make it any further. And I'm sure you guys expected to go much further than the first round. So what was coach saying after that first game of the playoffs?
He was just saying, we kind of came out, not necessarily flat, but we kind of came out already thinking we won. just because the opponent wasn't as high a caliber as we are usually playing. So we kind of just came out thinking we already won and didn't have the high energy that we're used to. And we just kind of came out and didn't do our thing. We didn't give any run support to our pitcher. He pitched really good game that game. I think he threw a 2-hitter. They only scored 2 runs. I mean, we scored 1 run, but I think they threw like a 1-hitter against us. But we just came out flat, and I just got back playing again this series, but I missed the whole playoffs so far. But yeah, we kind of came out flat.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you'd missed all of the playoffs basically. So what was that like, kind of coming back into the series after a few weeks off and coming back in a huge spot against Rockwall?
I mean, I was fortunate at the bit to come back. Thank God I got released that Thursday, so I could at least pinch hit that Friday game. But just kind of watching in the playoffs throughout the whole playoffs and stuff, it was tough because I knew I couldn't do anything to help. But once I got my opportunity, I knew how to
So you're all good to go for this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I just won't be able to throw.
All right. Well, we're extremely excited to see you.
Yeah.
Just one last thing about Rockwall, because I thought, we talked about this for quite a few weeks on the podcast, that it was getting closer and closer to being, a cross-city matchup in the region finals. I'm sure you've got some relationships with the guys on those teams. So, I know you weren't even sure that you were going to be able to play in that series. But what was that like? You don't know any other team better than you know them.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. It was probably one of the greatest experiences, just because so many fans were there. I mean, it's like the rivalry. You get your bragging rights, and this is when it really matters. And even though they kind of got us in the regular season and got those games, I mean, we kind of came out and we knew we had to play our best baseball because they were on their hot streak, and it didn't seem like they were going to get beat anytime soon. And they didn't lose a game in the playoffs so far. And when they took that game 1, we were not necessarily out of it, but we kind of were like, uh-oh. But we knew that we've been in that elimination game before, and we're used to having our backs against the wall, and we knew we had to come out and do our thing.
Well, a lot of people are saying that you have your backs against the wall this weekend too.
Mm-hmm.
1 game series against Smithson Valley, and they look pretty unbeatable. That's the word you used to describe Rockwall. So what's the approach right now? I know you've been practicing the last few days and you're headed off tomorrow. So what's coach saying right now?
Just kind of taking one thing at a time. Don't get too big in the moment. Just kind of when we get down there, just embrace it that you're here, and just go do our thing. Don't try to get out of the routine that we've been doing. I mean, he's talked about being high energy. I mean, we've got down here. I mean, we've played teams that are good, so we just have to go out there and play our best baseball and have the energy that we're used to, and I think we'll be fine.
And he has been in this spot before. Coach Harvey has, already been to some state tournaments. He won one in 2012. So how do you think his leadership and his insight has helped you guys throughout the playoffs and now coming up on, what could be the 2 biggest games of your life?
I mean, he always says once we get down there, we're going to win it. But I mean, we have to prove him right. But he's been a big step. I mean, he's been down there multiple times. He's had great teams come through this program, and him getting us down there, we just got to back him up, and we just got to play our best baseball.
Well, absolutely. And before you get out of here, I wanted to ask you some questions about your recruitment, because not only are you going to be playing D1, you're going to be playing at, one of the best universities in the country, Texas A&M. You committed there in June of last year, June of 2020, and that's early. I mean, you hadn't played your sophomore season. Your freshman year was your only full year. So what had that kind of, been like being recruited so early and getting an offer that big?
It was kind of overwhelming at first. I mean, because I didn't really think about it that much, like going into that summer, and then I kind of just had a pretty good summer, and then it was just kind of out of the blue and unexpected that there's so many people reaching out, and I had to talk to everybody. I mean, it was overwhelming at first, but I mean, it was a fun process. I mean, I never thought I was going to go to A&M, but they're the ones that stuck out.
So why did they stick out? I know it's probably the biggest name, and I'm sure it's one of your dream schools. But what about them? Obviously, they're going to be going through some big changes pretty soon. What about Texas A&M really stood out?
The coaching staff. Well, even though they just kind of got fired, but the coaching staff. I love the coaching staff. I wanted to stay in Texas and play in the SEC, the best baseball, and just kind of when I went down there, I just kind of felt like home. I just felt like I was just normal here, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, now that the NCAA dead period is over, you will be able to visit. I know you've got a lot bigger things on your hands right now, but do you have any plans to go up to College Station and maybe take some cool pictures and go on the field?
Oh yeah, for sure. I guess we'll just see what happens with this, all the things going on with the program right now. But yeah, I'll probably be down there.
Yeah, hopefully you go up there with a ring on your finger.
Oh yeah.
You've got 2 more games, and Rockwall Heath could have another state championship.
Mm-hmm.
So we wish you the best of luck. Once again, Rockwall Heath shortstop, Jett Williams. Jett, thanks for coming on.
Yep, thank you for having me.
From one Texas A&M recruit to another commit, I am now here with Smithson Valley center fielder Kasen Wells. Kasen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Will. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I mean, it is a great week for baseball, the state championships all around, but 6A has got to be the most exciting. You're on one of the most exciting teams in the state. You take me through this whole season, because I know it's kind of been a whirlwind for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last year getting cut off and, COVID and everything happening, and coming back this year, and at the first of the season, just really hoping that we were going to get to play a full season, and how everything played out. It's been a ride for us. And, early in the season, we started winning. We knew we had a lot of talent on our team, and, we had a bunch of guys step in and fill big shoes that needed to be filled. And they did it with no hesitation. And that's exactly what we needed going into the season. And then, in our second tournament, I believe, we got 3 of our losses, and those were our first 3 losses. And I don't think we had another for like 8 weeks or something like that. And going into that, we ended up losing one of our district games that, was pretty heartbreaking for us, but ended up winning district. Going into playoffs, we had confidence going, and played good against Brandeis, did good against them. Had a team from Austin second round and got through them pretty easily too. And then third round, we got to play our San Antonio rivals, Reagan. And I mean, definitely one of the funnest series I've ever played. One of the most high energy games. I mean, stands were completely packed. We had student section. Our student section was chanting at theirs. Theirs was chanting at ours. They were chanting at our players. Ours was chanting at their players. And just the atmosphere and everything was incredible. And I think that's one of, our advantages going into the week, and suffering a loss against Reagan and beating them twice in extra innings, and just facing all these ups and downs and going through that all. I feel like we're at an advantage, just because, we know whenever it gets hard that we can always come back and get on top of things.
Yeah, I mean, Reagan is something that I was going to bring up, because here at VYPE, we had Reagan ranked number 1 in the San Antonio rankings basically every week. They looked unstoppable for the most part. They definitely looked like the best team in the San Antonio region. As great as you guys looked, they were nationally ranked for a while. So, being a lower ranked team in the area, did that kind of make you guys feel like underdogs and maybe a little bit overlooked all year?
Yeah, it did. But, from the beginning of the season, just not being ranked and knowing that we had a really good team and stuff like that, our coach and he kind of just, kind of woke us all up like this is a good thing. Like, going through this season and being underranked, and, not a lot of people know about y'all. Like it's going to be good. He was like, down the season, whenever we start doing what I think we can do, people's eyes will start opening. And obviously, that's what's happened now. But I mean, going into that and, for the past few years, we've played Reagan, and it's always, they've always come out on top of us. And this year, we played them early on in the year, just a Saturday game, and, they beat us. So we were just going after them with vengeance and ended up, getting on top of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been an odd season kind of coming into this. It's your first full season since your freshman year. So and already, you're one of the big name guys on the team. So how did you kind of fit in as a leader to start off this season after, really just having a couple games in the 2020 campaign?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I knew going into it, and one of my best friends on the team was with me, and when he was a sophomore, it's Garrett Brooks, and like just before the season and stuff, talking to him, I was like, dude, like this is our team this year. We're gonna have to step up. We're gonna have to be the leaders, and if you were to watch our pregame, so before we go and take an in and out, everybody gets around me. I give a little pregame, like, hey, like a little hype speech, whatever. We break out. We come back in, we go, we say a quick prayer, and then right before we go and get out on the field, everybody's around Garrett. And Garrett's giving us, like that last little hype speech, and from there. And in all honesty, we have all our seniors absolutely love it. Everybody wants to go and win. Everybody's, if somebody gets down, we have the whole team picking them up. And honestly, we have, our 2 tech commits that are sophomores, and those guys have done a really, really good job of picking other people up. And obviously Ethan, being a catcher, has to be one of the most vocal guys on the field, and he's just taken that and ran with it. So, I feel like our whole team is really just leading each other at the same time. It's just, we have, a few guys that everybody kind of looks up to, and we filled those shoes good.
Yeah, you talked about, how much chemistry this team has, and you talked about in the Reagan series how there were so many fans, and you really felt like you guys were coming together. What can you say about, what the community has come together in the playoffs and the whole season, really?
Oh, it's been amazing. And, really during like district and stuff like that, we were just blowing our teams out, like other teams out of the water, and, like people didn't really care. And then really, I mean, a lot of people were coming to like first round, second round, but like that Reagan series, whenever, we went, and just like, I mean, it was crazy. Like, it was almost like everybody was there. I mean, there was like whole teams from our district, whole teams from their district, just like cheering on, their team and our team, and just seeing like how the community was just coming and cheering us on. And, every time we go and leave our school now to go play, we have a bunch of people there, waving the bus goodbye and honking horns and stuff like that. And it's just really cool seeing everything, and all the people that care about it are a part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys have really created something special, and you have to at this point. I mean, these last 4 teams, I've seen Strake Jesuit firsthand, really, just create something great, and it helps the players as ridiculous as that sounds. I'm sure it has an impact on the field.
Oh yeah.
You guys went for something that nobody else did in the region finals, and that was a 1-game series. You're on a roll. You come on as an underdog against Reagan, then you beat Eagle Pass, and then you decide a 1-game series against Los Fresnos. How much pressure was there right there, knowing that 1 game was going to decide your whole series, your whole season, and if you would go to state or not?
Yeah. So, right when it happened, because, we didn't want the 1-game series. We were hoping for a 3. Their coach won the toss, but then, our coaches told us, and we were all like, oh man, because we knew, that one pitcher, Loa, he was real good.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all just kind of sat there and, it just came to our mind, like we've won the first game of every single series. So everybody's top dog, like their top pitcher that we've seen, we've beat them. And so like just going from that and like, that's when before the game, I took everybody, every person that was hitting in the lineup, I took them aside and I was like, look, we've been in these shoes before. Every first game is a 1 game. And because that's what we say before every week, like we got to win the first game. We got to set the tone. And so I pulled everybody aside and I was like, look, we have to go into this game with the mentality of that this pitcher that's been dominant all year, if we tell ourselves that our whole lineup is going to go in there and dominate him, instead of going in there with the thought of like, this guy's really good. Like he's been doing good all year, which kind of like takes you off your game. But I just told him like, we just got to go and be confident in the box. And, even if it doesn't go your way, like staying confident, staying with our game, like it's going to work out for us. And, luckily it did.
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, throughout all these questions, you've really proved that you're a great leader for this team, and hopefully you'll be a leader at the next level.
Yes,
we
sir.
talked to Jett Williams a little bit earlier on, and now we're talking to you, both of you guys playing to A&M. So what was the process like, and when did you first realize that maybe there was something special there, and you would be getting offers as big as A&M?
Yeah, I started talking to schools really early on in my freshman year, pretty big schools, and just going down the list. And so my summer coach is an ex-pro guy. His name is Jason LaRue, and he's been extremely helpful through the whole process because, he's been through it all. And, I've never had a dream school. I've never had a school where I was like, man, like I really, really want to go there, which for me was an advantage because I was going to go somewhere that really wanted me and that was going to offer me good and stuff like that. And I actually started talking to A&M after my freshman year. And, at that stage, I was like, I'm not looking to commit anywhere unless it's just like insane. And I wasn't getting offers then. And then last year, ended up going down and filling in for a team just out of nowhere, going, and I actually played against Rob Childress' son. And, he saw me, and Coach Seeley got back in touch with me, was talking to me. We talked for several weeks, and, told me, he was like, all right, like we're gonna offer you, got me and my family, sat us down, and, went through everything. And, at the end of it, because I had gotten a couple offers before that, and it was just like, like I didn't really feel anything. And then after that, like I was like, man, like I really feel like this is it. Like I feel good about this. And just talking to different people and talking about stuff like that. My older brother went and played college baseball, and he was like, dude, this, because he went JUCO, but he was like, man, like the second that I got an offer from his JUCO, he was like, I knew I wanted to go there. And he was like, if that's how you're feeling, that's a good thing. And so I took it, and I'm very happy with it. Excited.
Yeah, it seems like you're not looking back. We were talking about how there's been a few changes there in the last few weeks, and a huge one about the last day or so, bring in a pretty legendary coach. So are you looking back at all? I mean, is there any, do you have any regrets?
I wouldn't say so. Just going forward, I'm really just sitting it out, waiting to see, what this new coach has to say, and, if he's going to want us or not. And in all honesty, I'm not really worried about it. Just waiting for it to play out, see what he's going to do, and go from there, really.
Yeah, go from there. I mean, you've got a whole lot in the next couple days here, and I'm sure all of that will follow. So we'll end it with this. Smithson Valley has been to the state tournament twice, and they have yet to win a championship. This is a pretty broad question, but why do you think this team is good enough to win a state championship?
I mean, I think it's, the chemistry. We got a lot of guys, and if you look through our whole lineup, we've got sophomores, we've got juniors, and we've got seniors. And if you were to hang around all of us, it's like we've all been together our whole lives playing baseball together. And like tonight, like every Wednesday night, we have a team dinner at one of the guys' houses. We go, and everybody's sitting there eating. We're all laughing, having a good time. And it's the same way on the field. Like, I mean, I've been playing behind Ryan for, this is my third year. I've been playing beside Garrett. I know every move that they're going to make. I know that if there's a ball over there, and I know if Garrett's going to get there, or I know if I need to go get it. And it's the same, I mean, on all sides of the ball, and everybody just goes together so nicely. And our dugout, even the guys that don't get a lot of playing time, I mean, they're in there and, cheering us on, and they want the whole team to succeed just as much as everybody wants to succeed. And so I feel like that, and obviously, the talent's there. We got a bunch of dudes that can go out and just flat out play, and we got good pitching. So I feel like we got good depth with the good talent. So I mean, I have good confidence going into this.
Well, Kasen, you gave me about 100 reasons for why this team is good enough to win a state championship, and you are fully confident. This team seems to just be, more together than anyone could have ever imagined. So,
Yes, sir.
Kasen Wells, I wish you all the best of luck at state tournament this week. Hope to talk to you soon, maybe with the championship.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, I really appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Well, once again, we want to thank Jett Williams and Kasen Wells for coming on the show this week. Both those guys are in the class of 2022, committed to Texas A&M, but they'll be playing each other this Friday in Round Rock. So as we're on the topic of Texas A&M, I think we would be remiss to not talk about them with football recruiting, because they have made such a big splash already, as the dead period just ended about 10 days ago. And we figured that we would see a lot of decommitments or flips, and we have seen just that. One of the top players in Texas has already decommitted. Robert, tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, first I'd like to start off. A&M just keeps going up and up in the positive direction with their recruitment. Defensive tackle Bear Alexander recently just decommitted from the University of Georgia after visiting College Station, and as the 7th best player in the state of Texas, he'll be playing for his 4th high school this year at Brewer down up in Fort Worth.
Yeah, Robert, I had to mess with you there and not only talk about a negative for Georgia, but a positive for Texas A&M. So Bear Alexander, we're not exactly sure that he will be playing for A&M or committing there, but it sure seems like it. It seems that he had a great visit. And Ella, there's a player in the Houston area that seems to be recruiting a lot of guys over there at College Station. Who's that?
Jimbo Fisher's being everybody right now. Speaking of A&M, Katy cornerback Bobby Taylor, he canceled all other visits after a weekend with Jimbo Fisher and is a huge advocate for other big name recruits to join him in heading to A&M. Yeah,
A&M has just an incredible class, like both of you guys said. Connor Weigman will be their quarterback for the class of 2022. So many offensive linemen. I know Kelvin Banks, that's on the top of his list. Harold Perkins, the list goes on. They've got a great tight end coming in there. So I wouldn't be surprised. We saw A&M finishes number 5 in the rankings. Wouldn't be surprised to see them a lot higher come 2023, 2024, when these guys are, fully in the system. And Robert, we'll finish this off with a guy that you have had some contact with through track and actually committed a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So Julian Humphrey, very good cornerback for Clear Lake. For those of you who are on TikTok, he seems to be on my For You page a lot because he's gone viral many times. He's been playing for Cam Newton's 7-on-7 team. Just came back recently, but he committed to Florida in late May. But as of right now, he seems to be fielding an offer from the Crimson Tide, which is very, very interesting because Florida and Bama, I saw in a recent recruiting ranking, are locked in at 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah, all at the top right there is Florida. Florida, at their quarterback commit is Nico Evers, who's a Texas, plays in the state of Texas for high school. And then Ohio State, we all know who their commit is, Quinn Ewers, and then Bama and A&M. So it's going to be really exciting to see how it turns out. I'm sure we'll see some more decommitments, some more flips, and some more exciting commitments. I think that's going to do it for us this week. What a great episode. Thanks once again to Jett Williams and Kasen Wells for coming on. When we come to you next week for our year in review show, we will have a 6A state champion. Hopefully it's Drake Jesper.
Go Crusaders.
For Robert Gonsolin, for Ella Hestan, I'm Will Turboff. Thanks for joining us this week on the VYPE podcast.